everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so whenever I first thought about doing this, I was a young girl. And I don't know, I just had this dream of one day telling my story to the world. And I don't know, I never thought that anyone would care, but I have had this feeling of one day I will tell my story. And every time something traumatic would happen to me, one of the things that helped me get back up was one day you'll get to tell your side. And when people misunderstood me, I understood that one day I'll tell my side. And there's just this feeling of not only will you tell your side, but you're going to help others too. And so, whenever I first thought about doing this, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought, this is going to be so simple. You've dreamed of this your whole life. There's no way that this is not going to be easy. And I was absolutely certain that it would only take one moon cycle to do. That every day I could sit down and tell 15 minutes of my story at a time. And by one moon cycle, boom, bam, done. But it did not work out that way at all. Not. Here I am 3 moon cycles later. So yeah, it did not take it's not that easy. It's not as easy as I thought that it was going to be. Not only that, but while I'm doing this, as I sleep, more memories come in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I feel like I left that part out. I've got to put it in, and I don't know how sometimes, especially whenever now that I'm getting further as I go, there's further back memories coming. And so I decided that the best way to do that is to just handle them as they come and to put them in as they come. And so last video was an overview, and I'm going to give you one more overview before we move on to my 7th grade year, because my teenage years, oh my gosh, I've still got healing work to do with my teenage years. So this is not easy for me, and I will be healing as I go. And I can see how this telling of my story isn't just about finally I get to tell my story and get my side heard. It's also about healing. It's deep, and this isn't easy. So a memory that I had from whenever I was like only 4 years old, and I feel like it's important to rewind and to put this part in there because it is relevant to my life later on. And a lot of the memories that I've said so far, I put them in there because it's relevant to my life later. So, whenever I was 4, my stepdad, his sister, was getting married, and my mom came and picked me up to take me to the wedding. I think I was supposed to be a flower girl, but I remember riding in the car or truck, or I don't know, riding in the vehicle with my mother on like these back roads, and it was crazy. And I think that she got lost, and we ended up pulling up in these people's driveway. I think she was going to ask for directions, and this old guy came out with a gun and like pointed at my mama's head. I was like, oh my gosh. It was kind of scary, but then he realized that we were just my mom and her little daughter needing directions to a wedding. And so they invited us in, and we went in, and they brought out a map back then. That's what people would do. So they brought out a map to show my mom where she was and where she was going, and they gave me cookies, and it was really cool. But it like went from scary to cool, and that's like so my life. But yeah, and then we got back in the car and we went to the wedding, and I remember they were trying to put me in this princess dress, and I was so excited to be put in this princess dress, and then they were like, no, she's sick. And it turns out I was beginning chicken pox. And yeah, I got chicken pox, and I was itchy and sick, but I wanted to wear my princess dress and they wouldn't let me, and I was so sad about that. But honestly, I was running a high fever and I was sick. And so, yeah, I got chicken pox whenever I was 4. And also, my grandmother, whenever she had me right before kindergarten, or maybe it was during kindergarten, because I was sick all the time and snoring too. My aunt would sleep in the room with me, well, not in the same bed, but in the same room, and she said that I snored. So they got my tonsils removed. So at my grandmother's, my tonsils were removed. I remember during that time, I got sick of eating ice cream and all the soft, cold foods. I really wanted some warm foods, and I was like begging for some eggs and some squash. And so my grandma would give me eggs and squash, but not warm, cold. But I was still happy to get them. But yeah. And I remember at the hospital getting my tonsils removed, like everybody showed up and gave me presents. And I was like wondering why I got presents for being in the hospital. But yeah, and I loved eating the popsicles. So yeah, those are the younger memories that I think I forgot. And now I'm going to move into I forgot a lot of memories from my dad's side in telling my story throughout this. So, at my dad's house, it was really different and unique because he had a bunch of chickens and he would actually one time he actually went outside and he took this chicken by his neck and went in a circle and then yeah, the neck popped off and the head it ran around, and we ate that chicken that evening. And my stepsister was so disgusted, and I mean I was disgusted too. I'm not gonna say I wasn't, but I was also kind of intrigued, and I ate dinner that night. For me, my mother would teach me that for eating meat, something had to give its life. And so always be grateful and consume it with a reverent attitude of life for life, you know? And for me, the lower form of life, it gives its life to the higher form of life. And it's the circle of life. And yeah, whenever I was younger, The Lion King was one of my favorite movies. And one year for Christmas, my uncle got me The Lion King soundtrack. So I was in love with The Lion King and I was in love with the philosophy of the circle of life. So I kind of understood that. I've always had an understanding of that. It gets more refined as I get older. But yeah, my sister was disgusted and would not eat the chicken, but I ate the chicken with thanksgiving and reverence. But it was also a very odd experience. I didn't enjoy that necessarily. So, and then another thing that I forgot to mention is my boyfriends, because I had boyfriends. And it's so crazy because now, in this time of life that I'm at, I don't really care about boys. And any boy or man that tries to offer me anything, I'm like, psh, whatever. But back in the day, whenever I was a little girl, I was boy crazy, and I was able to hide it well from the adults. So I don't think that the adults in my life realized how boy crazy I was, but yeah, I was. And in my fourth grade year, like I said, I was in a classroom with all boys and only 5 girls, and I was friends with all the girls. Well, I had a crush on every boy in that class. It was crazy. And I would pretend that they were my boyfriend, different boys, different weeks. I would pretend, and then I would tell my sister that that's my boyfriend. And so in her eyes, I always had a boyfriend, but it's not true. I really didn't. These boys did not give me the time of day. I didn't really even talk to these boys. So, yeah, I was delusional, and I have a tendency to be delusional. So maybe all these memories are delusions that I'm just sharing with you guys. Hopefully in a story format, in a way that you can understand. But yeah, whenever at my dad's, there was across the street, there was all the boys. They had 2 boys, they were brothers, and then they had twin boys. Now us, we had me, my sister, and then we had my twin sisters because my dad and my stepmom could do it right. They know how to make girls. So, um, Yeah, there's this one boy across the street, and he was 2 years older than me. The other one was 2 years younger than me. And me and my sister, my stepsister, we're the same age. We're only 4 months apart in age. And yeah, I had a crush on this boy, and I think that our neighbor friend had a crush on him too. But yeah, we end up hooking up. I ended up hooking up with him. Like, he's my boyfriend, and I would hang out with him all the time. I quit hanging out with my sister as much. I'd go hang out with him and hang out in the like under galley, like we're so cool hanging out in the gutter. I think my sister's neighbor who was she was always there, and we would play, and I thought that she was always there, but she was there whenever I was there, because whenever she would be visiting her dad whenever I'm visiting my dad. So yeah, and there was this time that me and this neighbor boy, and he had a friend, and my neighbor, we were all hanging out in the underground and leaving my sister out. I mean, being so rude to her and leaving her out, like, and I remember one time the boys throwing rocks at her. I didn't always take up for her. I wasn't always the take up for people kind of person. And, I regret that sometimes. But I think that we really hurt her feelings. One time he came over to our house, and he was in our bedroom, and she was really trying to get us to kiss, but I really didn't want to kiss him. I didn't feel comfortable with it. And so we never did kiss. We never did. We came really close to kissing. I got really scared and nervous and backed out. But she didn't know that. She thought that we actually kissed. And she told her mom that we kissed. And her mom got angry about it and was like, "Your daughter's going to grow up to be a slut. You need to do something about this," to my dad. And so my dad whooped my butt. And that's the first time my dad ever whooped my butt. He took me over his lap and boom, boom, boom. And that was the first time, and I remember I went and hid under the crib of the twins. There was a room where they had two cribs in there, and I went and got under the cribs, and I just cried because I knew that I didn't kiss this boy, and I don't know, it was weird. It was a weird experience. One time at we had a trampoline, we were out there playing, he was like, "Watch me," he gets on the trampoline, he like, right up, just bounces through the trampoline, breaks the trampoline. It was hilarious though. And at my dad's, me and my sister, a lot of times we would want to camp outside in the car, or in a tent or something, or in a little camper truck thing in the back. And we would do that. And one time we were camping back there, and we saw a mountain lion. Like, we heard it, and then it was like right there. It was so cool. And it wasn't scary, it was cool. So yeah, and my dad's a lot. I would stay up late at night, and I love to stay up late at night and just gaze at the stars, stargazing. I love the stars. I've always felt a connection to the stars, and at my dad's, he always lived way out in the country, so in the open air, and it's just like so crisp and clean, and the night sky is just so beautiful. It like draws you in. So I love to stay up late at my dad's and just stargaze. And, me and my sister and her neighbor, we would play all kinds of games all night long, and stay up all night playing and getting into stuff and want to sleep all day. So, yeah, but it was a lot of fun, and I loved it. There's so many overview things that I want to go over. I feel like this video has already run over its time limit, so I'm probably going to have to do another video where I catch us back up. One more overview video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this overview video. So I will see you in the next video for the overview. Thank you so much for watching my testimony. I appreciate all of you. I just want to put a disclaimer here at the end. This testimony is based off my memories and how I remember it, and memories can get convoluted, distorted. So maybe not all the details are factual, and it's not a completely factual story, but it's still my story and my truth. And I really appreciate all of you for watching. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching my story. That's all she got.